Okay guys, so in part 1 I pointed out several electricity, energy, and power references found in this case. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend watching it. Now if you've seen any of my videos or listened to any of my live streams, you will have most likely heard me mention that the majority of what they put in this case means something. The people that orchestrate these events will sometimes tell us what they are planning to do next. In my video titled Time for a Reset, I showed an image of Shanann holding the Thrive magazine that says Time for a Reset, telling us that this great reset we have been hearing so much about was already planned for us. I also made a video titled What's the Agenda, showing how they left us clues that the whole virus thing was also planned. Now let's continue with more of these electricity, power, and energy references in this case. Now, as I mentioned before, a lot of what they put in this case means something and it is significant. Now, it's important to remember that things can have more than one meaning. For example, in the discovery, Chris searched for prices on an Audi Q7. So, you can assume that Chris is most likely interested in buying that specific vehicle, considering he is looking at prices on it. However, if you know how these people operate with their numerology, symbolism, and codes, then it more than likely represents something else. So, out of curiosity, I did an internet search for Q7. As expected, there were many results for an Audi Q7, but there was something else that came up in that search. This is the Amelia wind farm and another one of their breadcrumbs that led me to another energy reference with just a one-step search. The Amelia wind farm is an offshore wind farm in the Netherlands. So not only do we have another major reference to power, but I want to take a closer look at the name itself. But before I do that, I just want to go over how they've told us that this case is a lie. The people who orchestrate the Watts case told us that the whole thing is a lie. This is also the reason why there are so many people in this case who have the name Lee. I went over this extensively in my video, The Names in Their Game. There are different variations for the name Lee, such as L-E-E, L-I, and L-I-E. Now, L-I-E is also the English word for lie, meaning to deceive. So what they have done and are still doing is incorporating these 3 different name variations into these events. There are a couple examples that I forgot to mention in the original video I made pointing out the significance of all the people with the name Lee. Let's take a look at a clip of Chris's news interview.
Shanann went to... Where'd you get that shirt?
Oh, this is, I think she got it off Amazon, but this is my favorite college sports team.
Wasn't she just there?
She was, yeah, just in North Carolina, yep. So she actually probably got it from there. Usually she gets stuff from Amazon, but this one, I like these shirts a lot.
Shanann went to... Where'd you get that shirt? Shanann went to... Where'd you get that shirt? Wasn't she just there?
She was, yeah, just in North Carolina, yep. So she actually probably got it.
Why would the reporter start asking Chris a question, stop abruptly, and then change her question? And not only that, but how is knowing where he got his shirt from going to help find Shanann and the girls if they were missing? It doesn't, because it's insignificant where he got his shirt from. The reporter asked that question for a specific reason, which I always thought was an odd question, but wasn't sure why. Until I realized that they were essentially telling us that the entire thing is a lie. They wanted us to see that Chris is wearing his favorite North Carolina shirt. North Carolina. Now let's take a look at what Cindy Watts is wearing for her televised interview. As you can see, Cindy is wearing a North Carolina sweatshirt. Is this something that you would wear to a televised interview? I wouldn't. So either this family really loves North Carolina or they are subliminally telling us that this entire thing is one big lie. When Shanann was on her Thrive trip, she went with friends to the Thirsty Lion. Thirsty Lion. Now, there's a YouTube channel called RV Truth. He has been doing an excellent job at exposing these orchestrated events and how they incorporate their symbolism, numerology, gematria, and Easter eggs into these events. I'm going to show you a clip from one of his recent videos so that you can see that, one, I am not the only one who is noticing these things, and two, that they are doing the same thing in other events as well.
And we all know Ash Lai, and I find it interesting. You have Ash Lai with her so-called husband, and they had a live-in girlfriend as well. But again, the symbolism, just right in the center here on the chest, is the lion symbolism. Again, stated repeatedly, they're all about signs, symbols, dates, numbers, and colors. And this lion symbolism, which I'll get into momentarily, this is supposedly Ash Lai's brother, Andrew, 21 years old, and the symbolism, again, always there. I stated repeatedly how they are using the white horse symbolism, and here you go again. And by the way, you have your space symbolism as well. They always have, again, their symbolism in plain sight, multiple purposes, but definitely the D as well. Of course, you get A, B, C, D. D is the fourth letter in the alphabet, and that's going to come into play a little bit more. But again, the white horse symbolism. But definitely, I want to spotlight what it comes down to is the lion symbolism, as I showed here. And again, the lion and the G in plain sight. And while watching television programming over the years, of course, we all know about Leo the lion. And again, it's called television programming for a reason. There you see, again, Leo the lion. And a very important aspect of Leo the lion is the LL, basically comes down to is 33. As you see here, the Pythagorean numerology chart. And again, always coded with these names. They love the CC initials and also the LL, just like LL Cool J, the singer. Now, when it comes to, again, Freemasonry and, of course, symbolism, what this is all about, you take a look here, again, the square and compass and a line in the center.
If you're not familiar with RV Truth's channel, please go check out his channel and subscribe. I will leave a link to his channel in the description. Now let's take a closer look at the name of the wind farm, Amalia. Amalia, or Amalia. Right off the bat, you have that L-I in the name that both myself and RV Truth have pointed out, but there's more. Now let's take a look at a clip from Nick and Amanda Thayer's interview. The name Amalie is another variation of the name Amalia.
But yeah, so you're going through, all these pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny because, if I didn't know, if I just saw this for the first time, I might think they're your kids.
Yeah, I mean, they did look a lot like Amelie. The blonde hair and just beautiful.
Did you remember that Nick and Amanda Thayer's daughter's name is Amalie, spelled Amalie? Once again, we see the word lie. Something else that I found interesting, here's a website that talks about the company that built the wind farm called Connex. Because they're telling us it's all a con, we have been conned. In part 1, I mentioned that I believe the powers that be were telling us that they're using something called dew, or some type of energy against us. After seeing all the power, electricity, and energy references in the case, I told a few people that I believe that the major power outages were going to happen. There are others as well that believe the same thing, and here's why.
This is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. A dark winter.
Is promising a long, dark, painful winter. Did you see him at the debate? Did anybody see the debate by any chance? No, he said long, dark winter. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
We remain in a very dark winter.
So last night we heard Joe Biden talk about the dark winter that he said is coming. And the president said he didn't believe that the winter would be dark. He said that the end is coming. He said that the end is coming. The end is coming to the virus.
Plan for a dark winter. Plan for a dark winter.
But the dark winter was not the only reason why I came to that conclusion. It was because all of the power and electricity references in the case. There was a major power outage in Pakistan on January 9th, and Pakistan was still without power on January 10th. It just so happens that the capital city of Pakistan is called the City of Lights. There again, you see the L-I in the name. There was another major power outage on January 10th in Texas. Shanann Watts' birthday is January 10th. Then there was the most recent power outage that froze all of the wind farms in Texas. Remember the wind farm that I just mentioned a little bit ago in this video?
Winter storms in Texas have left over 2 million people without power as their wind turbines are frozen solid. Former Texas Governor and Energy Secretary Rick Perry said this is the risk of green energy.
You need to have a diversity of energy sources no matter where you are. And it couldn't be a greater example of that in the state of Texas right now. We got massive amount of wind farms out in West Texas that are frozen up. All of that wind energy was lost.
Chris and Shanann stayed with their friends, the Dietz, while their house on Saratoga Trail was being built. If you search for 3040 Trinity Loop, Broomfield, Colorado, several real estate websites still have staged photos from when the Dietz allegedly lived there. Not only is the child's name on the wall an acronym for the word lie, but there is an image that shows a Texas wall hanging. Now, does this prove that the powers that be are responsible for what happened in Texas? No. But again, if you know how these people work, it's definitely something to keep in mind. These people are very powerful, no pun intended, and have the ability to make almost anything they want happen. Before I end this video, I want to show you something I just recently found. The following audio clip is from Chris's interview in Wisconsin.
The officers, saw what they saw. You mentioned that you took the ring off her finger. And then the book, did you throw that in the trash? Okay. There was another book, Body of Evidence. Does that sound familiar?
That you had in your cell.
A body of that, Patricia Cornwell?
Maybe. Does that sound right?
Probably.
Did that in Logan County?
What was that about?
That was just one they gave me.
Who gave it to you?
The deputies.
Not your attorneys, or?
Oh no, they couldn't give me books.
Oh.
No, any book that I had was given to me by their book cart that they had.
So you didn't ask for that book, or?
No, they just kind of give me like, hey, I read some Brad Thor books. He's like a military guy. And Patricia Cornwell, my grandma always read her books and thought she loved those books. And I'm not sure if that was probably one of the first books, not the first book I read there, but probably the second book I read there. But it was like they gave me, here's 4 books, choose.
What other book did you read? Do you remember?
The first book they gave me when I was in Suicide Watch was, I don't know why, but Murder at Something. And I was like, I looked at him and was like, that's the one we got. I'm like, okay. But,
They handed you that book by itself, no other choices?
Nah, the next book I got, another guy that was, I guess they're overcrowded there, a guy was sleeping on a cot outside my door. He's like, here, try this one. It was one that was based like in the 1800s. It's more of like a situational book, like a time period book. So that one's a little more calm. But that was the first book they gave me.
You don't remember what it was called? Murder at Something?
We were at the Truman Center.
Truman Center?
Yeah, I think it was, no, at the Kennedy Center. I think it was written by Margaret Truman.
Did you read it? Was it good?
Yeah, it was decent.
Remember how I told you that many of the things they put in this case mean something? Well, I did an internet search for Margaret Truman, and something immediately caught my eye. Margaret Truman wrote a book called Murder on Capitol Hill. On January 6, 2021, alleged Trump rioters stormed Capitol Hill, which resulted in the death of 1 police officer and 4 rioters. They told us that the riot and the murders at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. were going to happen 2 years before it took place. It's time people start waking up to the lies of this orchestrated American horror story called the Watts case.